What's up, PiePurplji here, and welcome back to another one of these tier list videos. Now, as you can see here, we are going to be ranking the Nintendo console slash handheld, pretty much both, every single one of them. And we're going to be ranking them in the tier list all the way from, S to D tier. So this is going to be pretty exciting. There's not really too many, not too many consoles out here, but, the ones that we do have are all, about to be ranked, as you can see here. So anyways, let's go ahead and get things started. Alright, so we're going to begin at the very beginning, and we're going to start with the NES. Now, the NES, I'd say, is a solid B tier. It's, the original classic. It's the system that pretty much, started, it started, all of this, as you can see down here. It was a thing that, saved, the video game crash, 1982, I'm pretty sure it was. But yeah, it's an honestly really amazing system, but it's it's not its predecessor, but the thing that came after it, the SNES, just is a solid A tier. The games on it are really good. It took everything that the NES did, but made it 10 times better. Like with Mario World or Super Mario Bros. 3 became Mario World. Mother became Earthbound, well at least for the Japanese audiences, and it's honestly really amazing systems, both of these, but I definitely do think that I prefer the SNES over the original NES. So we're going to go into the next console, and we're going to go ahead and take the N64. Now the N64, I definitely do think that it is better than the SNES. And honestly, that's an opinion that could be shared by tons of people. Like, there are so many great, amazing games on the console. It's a very nostalgic console to some people, and there's, as I said before, amazing great games like Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask. There's a ton of the original Smash Bros. Came out on the console. There's a ton of things about the console that made it super amazing, and honestly, a really nostalgic console to many people out there. So now let's go ahead and move on to the GameCube. So the GameCube is, definitely very similar to the N64. How it's a very nostalgic console for a lot of people. But, honestly, there's a ton of things great about the GameCube, like the GameCube, like, excluding all the games, the hardware itself, the GameCube controller is honestly one of those controllers that, when you hold it, it's like sheer, just like amazingness. Like, that's not even a word, but, if you've ever held a GameCube controller, you really know what I'm talking about, because, it feels just right to, be playing on a GameCube controller. It's super comfortable. The games on the system are really cool, like Smash Bros. Melee. Tons of people still play that game. Tons of people enjoy games like Mario Sunshine, Mario Kart Double Dash, Legend of Zelda, Wind Waker. I mean, there's a ton of amazing games on the console that really made it definitely deserving of a very high A tier. And now let's go on to the Virtual Boy, because I skipped over it. So yeah, Virtual Boy, I'm pretty sure I speak for everybody when I say that the Virtual Boy is a C tier, because Virtual Boy was a very failed Nintendo console. There was only like 12 games on the system, and they were all really wonky. They were all kind of bad. The system itself was pretty bad. So, it's no surprise, Virtual Boy would be at the bottom of the tier list. So now we should go on to the Wii. Now the Wii, yeah, we'll just go ahead and put it in a high S tier. So this is definitely, my opinion, as most of these tier list videos are. But, some people out there would agree with me that the Wii is definitely, Nintendo's best, Nintendo console. Disregarding the fact that it is the best-selling Nintendo console out there, because, like over like 100 million sales, or 100 million people bought the thing. But, there's so much good about the Wii. Like, it brought in a ton of people, playing games, like, a ton of casual players, playing games like Wii Sports Resort, any game that begins with Wii and then just has a word after it, brought in tons of people. The casual gaming, kind of Wii thing, if that makes any sense. But aside from that, the more like Nintendo fan kind of guys or kind of people actually got, amazing games on the thing as well. Like, we got Smash Bros. Brawl, we got Mario Galaxy 2, we got Mario Kart Wii, we got, there's so many games, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword. Like, there was so many amazing games on the system that made it, really nostalgic console to me. But that's really the thing that really puts it in a high S tier for me, is just the nostalgic value I have to the thing. So now let's move on to the thing that came after it, the Wii U. Yeah, I'm going to get a lot of backlash for this, but I think the Wii U is a really amazing console, because there's so many amazing games with the console. Like, obviously, the console has some things that are kind of bad for it, like, say for example Star Fox Zero, where, it was really awkward to control because of the gamepad. But the gamepad is honestly, really amazing feature that hasn't been, done before pretty much ever. And it was honestly really amazing. Like there were so many great games, like Mario Maker came out, Mario Kart 8 came out on the thing. There were so many, like Mario 3 World came out on it, or Wind Waker HD, if you can consider that, a Nintendo original game, even though it was kind of an HD remaster of the original GameCube title. But aside from that, excluding that all out of the way, the Wii U is a really amazing console that, is really, really underrated because, not really many people have one. And now let's move on to the Nintendo Switch. So yeah, the most recent Nintendo console. It's definitely an S tier, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people out there can agree with me on that, the Nintendo Switch is honestly a really amazing console. Like it's so small, it's compact, it's really amazing to hold. You can take it on the go. You can take it, you can play on it at home. There's so many amazing, great, first-party Nintendo titles on there, like, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Splatoon 2, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Let me think there. There's a ton of games like Xenoblade Chronicles. There's so many amazing, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I mean, but there's so many amazing games on the console, and there's a ton of, third-party developers that are developing really amazing games for the thing. Like, Final Fantasy VII came out on the Nintendo Switch, which is really surprising. But the Nintendo Switch is honestly a really amazing console. Like when you hold it, it's really comfortable to hold. It's got a ton of games. It looks amazing. The graphics are really cool. It's honestly like a really amazing console. And if you have one, you definitely know what I'm talking about when I say that Nintendo Switch definitely really does deserve an S, which might mean S for Nintendo Switch. Just putting that out there. So those are all the consoles, or at least all the home consoles, aside from the awkward mix that the Nintendo Switch is. But we're gonna go ahead and go on to the Game Boy. So the Game Boy, it's pretty comparable to the NES. I wouldn't say I don't know. These two are equal. These two are equal. Like the order their pictures in, at least for these two, doesn't really matter because I consider them equal. They're both really cool consoles, but getting off topic. The Game Boy itself it was really cool because it was like a little compact little handheld. And for the time back in like 1989, I'm pretty sure is when it came out, it was a really, really amazing console. Like it was really cool. It was a little compact way to play, really cool games like Pokemon Red, Pokemon Blue, Pokemon Yellow, Tetris, Super Mario Land. There was like so many amazing games on the console, and it just like obviously there is a little bit of problems with it, like no backlight. It's kind of chunky and kind of clunky to hold. Like it is, as most people say, it is just a gray brick to hold. But it is a really amazing console nonetheless. Now we're gonna go ahead and take the Game Boy Color. Now I definitely do think that the pictures in this way definitely do matter. I do think that the Game Boy Color is better than the original Game Boy because it changed. It didn't really change too much, but it made things a little bit better, like it added color. But of course there still is a problem with no backlight, so that's a little bit disappointing. But if we take the thing that came after it, the Game Boy Advance, we'll go ahead and take the Game Boy Advance, so I can speak correctly. And yeah, it's a B tier because there's so many, there's so much good about the Game Boy Advance. Like, the Game Boy Advance SP added a backlight, so not this Game Boy model, but I'll show you a picture on screen. The Game Boy Advance SP had a backlight, so it fixed the main problem that these three consoles had. But the games on this thing were, really, really amazing. Like there was Pokemon Ruby, Pokemon Sapphire, Pokemon Emerald. Aside from, the normal Pokemon games, there was games like Golden Sun, Mario Kart Super Circuit, which is really revolutionary because, Mario Kart on a handheld at the time was, really, really cool. Legend of Zelda the Minish Cap. Like there's so many amazing games on the console that really do separate and put it above the original Game Boy and Game Boy Color. So now it's time for the DS. So the DS, I definitely do think that the DS is by far the greatest Nintendo system Nintendo has ever released. Not only that it's, the best-selling Nintendo system that Nintendo has, ever released, but it's honestly, such an amazing idea. Like the games that are on the thing have so much nostalgic value to me, like Super Mario 64 DS, Mario Kart DS, Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks, and Phantom Hourglass. There's a ton of, third-party games that are really amazing out there, like Chrono Trigger. Like there was so much to love about the DS that, really separated and, really put it above all the other systems out here. And really honestly, this might be nostalgia talking, but as I say before, this is honestly in my opinion the greatest Nintendo console Nintendo's ever released. And now that finally leaves us with the 3DS family of systems. So there's no 2DS, but I guess when the 3DS is here, that means anything in the 3DS family. And I'd say it goes about right there, it's a solid, very solid A tier, very, I do say it's a step above all these consoles and definitely above the Virtual Boy. But, it's a really, really, really amazing console. Like, as I said before, tons of games, the game library is really, really amazing about the thing. But, honestly, the original DS holds a very special place in my heart that the 3DS really couldn't compare. But, as I said before, it's a really good console, so it definitely deserves the A tier spot that it has. So that is the tier list. So this is the, the entire tier list. So this is honestly, pretty amazing job of, my opinions on the Nintendo consoles and Nintendo systems that Nintendo's ever released. But, as I said before, this is my opinion, so if you guys want to make your own tier list, then feel free to go do that. I'll leave a link to this tier list down in the description below. But anyways, I'm going to end things off here. So hopefully you guys did enjoy, and yeah, so anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy, then feel free to leave this video a like, maybe even a comment, and if you really wanted to, you can even subscribe to be notified of when future videos come out. And that is all I have for now. So I'll see you in the next video. Peace. Bye.